3, 2. From TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, 2018 training camp rolls along on the Dreamfinders Homes Practice Complex. Welcome in, JP Shadrick. Jeff Lageman joins us shortly. This is a special presentation on Jaguars.com and Jag's social media today of live pass rush drills for the second padded practice, the fourth overall practice of 2018 training camp. Jeff Lageman with us, former Jaguars defensive lineman, Jaguars analyst. This is always fun. This is the tough week, as Doug Marrone said this morning. 5 straight padded practices, starting with this one.
Yeah, it's the demanding part. You know, you started out where you have an acclimation period where you have 2 non-padded practices and then a full pad, then a day off. You know, so I mean, as a player, it's like, what more could you ask for? I mean, to go 3 practices and already have a day off, but this is a stretch where it's going to be demanding, and that's what you want. That's what Coach Marrone wants, and the second padded practice is where guys, I think, have a lot of energy because you just had a day off. And then also, there was a little bit of competition that happened in the first padded practice to where guys are looking for maybe another opportunity at doing better, because there's a number of guys, JP, that we watched in that first padded practice that got beat by one guy in particular, and they're looking for a rematch.
And this is the first time back out to do that. We'll have basically the live play-by-play of this coming up in just moments from the practice field, and we'll get your thoughts on who wins each drill, what moves they are, and then we'll move from there.
Well, and what we're talking about here is the one-on-one pass rush. And let me say this as a defensive lineman, it is an advantage, okay, to the defensive line because you don't have other bodies helping to block. You also don't have a quarterback that's moving. So,
yes,
you know, as a pass rusher, as a defensive lineman, you're trying to rush to a spot. And as an offensive lineman, you're trying to protect a spot. But on game day, that spot is always moving. But it's so advantage defensive lineman, okay, just that understanding in this drill before it even starts.
A couple of thoughts before we get into this today. Just first impressions of pass rush guys. We know the usual suspects, Calais Campbell coming off an all-pro year, Malik Jackson, Marcel Darius, more of a run type of guy, but big at the nose position there. Who else has really stood out in the first day in pads? I know it's early.
Well, it's very clear that Yannick Ngakoue is a man on a mission once again, and I think that's impressive and has been impressive. Last year he had the same kind of MO. I mean, he was unbelievably, as far as his work ethic was fantastic. He's brought in the same work ethic back this year, and that's special. I mean, a lot of guys, once they have, you know, made it, so to speak, come back and think that, okay, it's just going to automatically happen again, and they don't work as hard. Yannick Ngakoue may be working harder this year. To flip that onto the other side of the ball, the offensive line, I think, is as deep as I've ever seen it here in Jacksonville.
Really?
And I honestly, Cody Kessler is going to have an offensive line to work with that could be a starting quality type offensive line.
On the second team. Wow.
I mean, you're talking about Shatley and Reed, Richardson, the rookie, Walker, who
been in the league for 4 years.
is competing, I think,
Sure,
with A.J. Can for the right guard spot. And
William Pales on the right side.
And Pales, you know, is another tackle that, you know, is going to compete with the rookie for time. So,
yeah,
you know, and at left tackle, you got Wellesley, you know, Josh Wells, who's been around the block a long time. So, this is a very good offensive line, and it's a deep offensive line, and it's a competitive offensive line. And then I haven't even talked about the addition of Norwell, but that's kind of beside the point. Everybody knows he's good.
He's not bad.
He gets paid a lot of money because he's good.
That's for sure. Coming up, live pass rush drills here on Jaguars.com, the Jaguars app, social media, and all the rest. It's period 11 in practice. We'll be showing a 10-minute scheduled period. We're 7-on-7s on one side of the field, and then the one-on-one pass rush drills coming up, and we'll have those live for you right here. It's fun. The matchups, ones versus ones, a lot of times, and they'll roll through and maybe mix and match some guys depending on the matchups.
No, I mean, this is, you know, you will see, you know, Cam Robinson versus Ngakoue, Jeremy Parnell versus Ngakoue, and Calais Campbell. I mean, it's one, like you say, ones versus ones. You know, and then every now and again you'll kind of have an odd matchup. You might have an Ngakoue against, you know, rookie offensive tackle, but that doesn't happen very often. But it could happen because Ngakoue wants to get as many reps as possible. I mean, that's just his mindset. You know, so but you know, it's going to be a great drill to watch. It is one of the most highly watched drills in all of training camp. A lot of times in training camp, the coaches will back the drill up close to the fan base just because it makes it a little bit more of a heightened awareness drill. And as a player, I used to love having that.
Two strengths of this football team. The pass rush last year, fantastic sack numbers for this team, and they bothered the quarterback throughout the year. And on the offensive side, they reduced that sack total. So a good matchup here in the trenches. And as Tom Coughlin says and Doug Marrone says, this is where football was designed to be played, in the trenches up front.
Yeah, and this is you're talking some big, strong men. I haven't even mentioned Taven Bryan.
I know, right?
And Taven Bryan in the 9-on-7 drill Saturday night was throwing a few guys around. I mean, he is a young man that has incredible strength. You add him and then Marcel Darius, who is probably the strongest man on the field. You put those two guys, and Calais Campbell, who is a mountain of a man. And now you've got, some immovable objects on that defensive front. You're talking short yardage and goal line. I mean, they're big, strong men now, and it's very impressive, and it's a great battle. And when you have good groups, good offensive line group and a good defensive line group, they make each other better because the competition is there day in and day out.
Sure. But as you said a little earlier, sometimes there could be something from the first day, maybe a little extra curricular here or there, and they got to balance it out at some point.
Well, in the first day, and I will say this because, we just got done watching some of the drills when we were out there. Mm-hmm. There's a one-on-one drill that we call it pace party, and essentially it's a one-on-one run blocking drill, and it's advantage, offensive linemen because they're, getting, a lot of weight on their hand or coming off. But the one thing about it is Saturday, the offense won it. I mean, they were winning, like guy after guy after guy after guy. They were winning. Today, a little bit different. Defense was winning and winning. Occasionally, an offensive player was winning, but you could see that, Saturday the defensive guys left with a bad taste in their mouth, and today they were on point and ready to even it back up.
A couple of minutes away, we'll have the live play-by-play of the pass rush drills here in 2018 training camp. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, glad you're with us today on Jaguars.com, Jags social media, and all the rest. About a minute away now. All right, so after this today, when you go back and review this as a coach or as a player looking at the tape, what are you looking for in this? What can you gather from this drill here?
Well, for the pass rushes, for an offensive lineman is the strictness of the footwork or the repetitive, perfect footwork. That's something like when Cam Robinson steps up and it's his rep, that's something that I'm looking for. He has sometimes a bad habit where he kicks, and when he kicks, he's shuffling at an angle, which that angle has to be maintained, and your feet have to maintain on a line and on that plane. Well, what he does sometimes when he goes to punch a defensive lineman, his back foot actually steps back, and when it does, he's turning his shoulders open, and it creates a soft corner. So for Cam Robinson, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see that foot doesn't slide back, and for him to essentially what we call open the barn door. Right. For Calais Campbell, I want to see his hands continue to work. I want to see his get off. For right tackle Jeremy Parnell, he is outstanding at his footwork and the repetitive consistency of his footwork. I want to see the strength and the punch from Jeremy Parnell. A.J. Cann, who has started out with a strong camp, I want to see him maintain his strength and also to not get his weight too far forward. I mean, each guy has something that you want to see them work on. And as pass rushers, it's no different.
Yeah, everybody has – this is what training camp's for, to work on the little footwork, little things, and then put the pads on and work on that as well. And it all kind of comes together really starting this week. And this week, padded practices are open to the public. Jaguars.com/training camp. Register for free admission. And then they'll be in the stadium, TIAA Bank Field, Friday night for the family night scrimmage as always. So a fun week ahead here on Jaguars.com. We'll have all the coverage throughout camp each and every day, and maybe some additional live stuff as the week goes on. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but I think there's a chance we could do some more stuff like this.
There is some one-on-one with the little guys. When I say little guys, I mean it's little by standards compared to offensive and defensive linemen. But there's a one-on-one, drill cornerbacks versus wide receivers that also may be something we could watch.
All right, let's go out to the Dreamfinders Homes practice complex. We are patched through the coach's camera for a live look at one-on-one pass rush drills. That looks like field 3 on the far side. So they'll line the entire offensive line up, and they'll start on the right defensive end.
Yeah, that's Lorente McCray versus Cam Robinson. And excellent right there by Cam Robinson. You can kind of see those white lines there, and he rides McCray all the way around to the outside.
Malik Jackson next up on defense.
That's Calais Campbell.
Oh, excuse me.
Yep, the Calais Campbell there working against Tyler Shatley, and Calais wins. Big, powerful man gets separation and then just kind of slides off, and that's a great job by Calais, and it's expected. That's what he's been able to do for a long time.
Let's try it again with Calais.
Yeah, usually they do 2 reps in a row, and there it is. Because Calais is so strong, Shatley, or excuse me, that's Norwell.
It was Norwell.
The jersey's rolled up. That's Andrew Norwell. Norwell is anticipating that power strength move, and Calais goes the Olay move.
Right through the middle now, that's Avery Jones.
Yeah, Avery Jones versus Brandon Linder. Good job by Linder there. Avery Jones, look, he's not a great pass rusher. He's a nose tackle. He's got some pass rush ability, but that was a win by Linder.
Lined up on the other side now. Avery Jones again against Linder.
Yeah, and see Linder just locked him up right there. And that Linder's got great feet. He's got incredibly strong hands. He's a borderline Pro Bowl level player. Great job by him.
Now here's Malik Jackson and A.J. Cann at right guard. What do you say?
And I mean, good. I think initially that it was a win by A.J., but a good finish by Malik Jackson. And A.J. did good there. He didn't overextend himself, which he can do at times.
Second rep, all Cann.
Excellent. A.J. Cann right there. Good feet. You know, Malik tries to put a little shake and bake on him. A.J. doesn't bite on anything and gets his hands on him. Done.
All right. Ngakwe and Parnell.
Yeah, and to me, that's kind of one of those things where kind of call it a draw. You know, Ngakwe kind of does a little shake move there on Parnell, and Parnell's feet get a little tangled up and stops, and it creates a short corner, but the quarterback might have stepped up.
Second rep, Parnell eats him up.
Yeah, and that's a really good job by Parnell. For Ngakwe, he's got to do a little bit better job of selling the upfield before he does the spin move underneath. Taven Bryan just overpowers Josh Wells, and Wells reverts to what we call the bury him in the dirt. You know, you knock the hands down, you bury him in the turf, and it's a viable move for an offensive lineman, but it's risky because when you do that, you risk throwing the defensive lineman down, and his momentum continues to the legs of the quarterback.
So a couple of reps for Taven Bryan there.
He's a big, strong man.
He is. He fits in with this group.
Yeah, he's going to be really good because he can play inside and out.
This from the defensive tackle position.
I believe that's
Darius, I believe.
No, I think that's Michael
Bennett.
You know, who has been injured for a number of years. He's got some quickness now. Michael Bennett's got some quickness. I can't tell who he's working against here. Give me a second there. That's Shatley.
That is Tyler Shatley.
Yeah, and that's a win there by Michael Bennett. He kind of freezes Shatley's feet and gets around the outside, but that's not easy to do, you know, when you're in live game action because you got to tackle that.
Chris Reed at center, beaten there on the first one.
Yeah, and that's Ilianku, who was active a number of games last year, backup nose tackle once Darius signed. He was inactive a lot of games.
Second rep for Anku, and Reed kind of slows him down at the end.
Yeah, and this is, you know, kind of an adjustment for Reed. He was mostly a guard. Now they're trying to cross-train him. You know, same thing like with Shatley. You know, he wants to play. They want him to play center and guard.
Josh Walker at right guard now.
Now that's a good job by Walker, and
that was Darius there.
Yeah, he rides Marcel Darius up the field. Walker's a good, solid veteran. He's the one that's competing with A.J. Cann.
Second opportunity.
Good feet by Josh Walker. That's a win there by Josh Walker. But the one thing about Marcel Darius, so if you notice, where Josh Walker's feet ends up, most times about 3.5, 4 yards deep, that's in the lap of the quarterback.
Carroll Phillips on the pass rush against Pales.
And Pales is a big man, and that's a win there by Carroll Phillips. He's an athletic, shifty type. He gets underneath. Pales is such a big man. The one thing that should never happen with a big man is never let somebody beat you inside like that.
Pales one more time. Puts him on the ground this time at the end.
Yep. What Pales is doing there, he's oversetting because he's nervous about the speed of Carroll Phillips. And so when he's oversetting, he's opening up the inside a little bit. He needs to be a little bit more patient.
This is Smoot with the inside move against Brandon Smith, the left tackle.
Yeah, and Brandon Smith just got back to the practice field. He was on PUP, I believe, the first couple days. And Smoot is a guy that has to step up. This is a good matchup, though. And a good in-and-out move there by Smoot. I wouldn't say that it was a win by Smoot. I'd call that more of a draw. But Smoot's got to show more this year.
Third left guard, Casey McDermott at left guard there.
And that's working. That's Lyndon Johnson, who, what a great name, right? I mean, we're talking a presidential name. Lyndon Johnson, big, long, strong guy. Doesn't have a whole lot of bend, but he's got an opportunity to do something. But that's what he has right there, power. That's a win.
Put him on his backside.
By Lyndon Johnson against the rookie offensive lineman from Miami, McDermott.
Tony Adams will step in as the third center in this pass rush drill.
He was line mates with their draft pick Richardson at NC State.
All right.
And I believe that is the newly signed defensive lineman Caleb Ools, who is a second-year man from Mississippi State. Got some movement to him. That's a win for him. That's that young offensive lineman right there, Tony Adams. Mm-hmm. I think he was more of a guard at NC State playing next to Richardson. So this is also a cross-training opportunity for him.
Now at right guard and defensive tackle.
That's Taven Bryan now. So we're talking Taven Bryan, big, strong man. That's a win there by Pales, the offensive lineman. He's a big man. It's a great strength matchup right here. Taven Bryan needs to get more shake and edge rush. Now, see where he ended up? I mean, you're talking right at the lap of the quarterback. That one was a win by Taven Bryan.
Okay, now the pass rush. Darius Jackson from Jacksonville State, the undrafted rookie.
Yeah, and he might lead the Jaguars in the preseason with sacks. But that right there is a win. And is that Richardson at tackle, the rookie draft pick?
It is.
That's a win by Richardson. But Jackson now, he may, and I say this not jokingly but seriously, he may lead the Jaguars in the preseason in sacks because he's got some movement. He's got a nice uncanny ability right there as we see how he gets around the corner. He's got great balance. And he showed that at Jacksonville State. He's going to be somebody that's going to get a lot of snaps in the fourth quarter, and he probably will end up leading this team in sacks in the preseason, much like Cappy did a couple years ago.
6'2", 242-pounder.
That's a win there by Richardson. Big, strong offensive tackle, locks him up, and stopped the momentum of Jackson.
All right, they're going to reload here. A couple of minutes left in the drill live on Jaguars.com. Pass rush drills in the fourth practice, second padded practice of 2018 training camp. And the horn just blew.
That's it.
So that'll do it for the drills on Jaguars.com. Logs, thanks for your analysis today.
Enjoyed it.
Fun watch.
And now we got to go back and watch more.
We got to go sweat a little more outside. Check out all the coverage a little later today and throughout this week on Jaguars.com.